The INFJ personality is one of paradoxes. On the surface, they seem to be the most empathetic souls you could ever meet, kind, deeply compassionate, and devoted to helping others. But beneath that calm, caring exterior lies a depth of complexity that makes them both powerful and, in certain ways, dangerous. The INFJ lives in a world of emotional intensity, quiet conviction, and hidden fire. To understand them fully, you have to see both sides of their dual nature, the part that nurtures and heals, and the part that withdraws and destroys when pushed too far. INFJs can sense what others are feeling, even when no words are spoken. This intuition gives them a rare kind of emotional intelligence that feels almost supernatural. They don't just hear what you say, they feel it. They can read subtle cues in body language, tone, and energy, piecing together truths others overlook. It's what makes them such comforting friends and insightful partners. Yet, it's also the foundation of their hidden danger. Because when you can read people that well, you can also manipulate them if you ever choose to. Most INFJs would never consciously do harm. Their moral compass is strong and deeply tied to their values. However, their intuition allows them to see into the emotional vulnerabilities of others. If they are ever deeply hurt, betrayed, or cornered, they can instinctively weaponize that knowledge, often without even meaning to at first. They know exactly which emotional string to pull, which truth to reveal, and which silence will wound the most. Their retaliation is rarely loud or chaotic. It's calm, surgical, and devastatingly effective. This is not because they enjoy revenge, but because they believe in balance and justice. When they are wronged, they seek to restore that balance in a way that leaves a lasting impression. The INFJ's niceness comes from genuine care. They want to help people heal, to bring understanding where there is confusion, and to bring light where there is pain. They will listen to your struggles, offer deep insights, and even absorb some of your emotional burdens just to make you feel better. But this same selfless empathy is what often leads them to emotional exhaustion and resentment. When they give too much for too long without receiving the same depth of care in return, something inside them shifts. They begin to see the world not just through love, but through disappointment. Their warmth turns cold, not because they stop caring, but because they've realized how few people truly value what they give. This is when the dangerous side begins to emerge, the side that sees through illusions, masks, and manipulation, and refuses to tolerate it anymore. When an INFJ reaches this point, they no longer seek harmony at the expense of truth. They confront, they cut off, and they rebuild themselves. Their empathy becomes selective. They begin to reserve it only for those who deserve it. The INFJ's anger is not explosive. It's quiet, rational, and final. They may not shout or argue, but they will vanish without warning, leaving the other person wondering what went wrong. Their silence becomes the loudest message of all. INFJs are also dangerous in how deeply they understand themselves and others. This self-awareness gives them a power that many people lack, the ability to see both their light and their shadow. They know when they're being too nice, too accommodating, too forgiving. And when they finally decide to set boundaries, they do so with absolute conviction. Once they make that choice, nothing can sway them. People who were once able to influence or manipulate them suddenly find their efforts useless. The INFJ doesn't just close a door, they lock it, soundproof it, and move to another building altogether. Their idealism also has a sharp edge. INFJs don't just dream of a better world. They believe it's their purpose to create one. And when they see injustice, cruelty, or hypocrisy, something in them rises up with quiet fury. Their moral passion, when ignited, can become a force that challenges systems, confronts authority, and exposes hidden wrongs. They may appear calm on the outside, but within them burns an unshakable resolve. They will fight for what they believe is right, even if it costs them relationships, comfort, or peace. Their danger lies in that unrelenting conviction, the kind that cannot be bought, silenced, or intimidated. INFJs are dreamers who live inside vast mental landscapes filled with meaning, symbolism, and reflection. But when this imagination turns inward during times of pain, it can become a labyrinth of overthinking and emotional depth that few can comprehend. They analyze everything. Every word spoken, every silence, every inconsistency. This makes them excellent judges of character, but also leaves them susceptible to mental burnout. And when that inner world turns dark, they retreat into it completely. No one can reach them there, and no one can fully understand the transformation that happens in that solitude. When they emerge, they are not the same person. They come back sharper, wiser, and less forgiving. What makes the INFJ both nice and dangerous is that their kindness is a choice, not a weakness. They choose empathy when they could easily choose indifference. They choose understanding when they could choose judgment. But when people mistake that kindness for naivety, they learn too late that the INFJ sees everything. They may forgive, but they never forget. They may not react immediately, but they store information in silence. And when they act, they do so with precision that leaves others stunned. The INFJ's duality is what makes them so rare and misunderstood. They are healers who can destroy illusions, lovers who can walk away forever, and idealists who can face the darkest parts of humanity without losing their light. They live in constant tension between compassion and justice, between peace and truth. And it's in this tension that their true power lies. To know an INFJ is to witness both the gentleness of water and the strength of fire. They can soothe your wounds or burn through your lies. They can nurture your growth or expose your deception. Their presence is healing, but their absence is haunting. They are the embodiment of quiet strength, the kind that doesn't roar, but still reshapes everything it touches. INFJs have the ability to mirror others so perfectly that people often forget they're dealing with someone who is quietly observing, calculating, and absorbing everything. INFJs can become who you need them to be, adapting their tone, energy, and responses to make you feel completely understood. But this mirroring isn't manipulation, it's empathy turned inward. Yet, when misused or pushed too far, it becomes a kind of psychological armor. The INFJ uses it not only to connect, but also to protect. By blending in and reflecting others, they learn exactly how people think, what they fear, and what drives them. And when betrayed, they can use that understanding as a silent weapon. One that doesn't shout or fight, but simply withdraws in a way that leaves an unmistakable void. There's also a quiet, strategic brilliance to how INFJs handle conflict. While others react impulsively, the INFJ watches, analyzes, and waits. Their intuition allows them to predict outcomes and people's next moves, often before those people even realize their own intentions. This foresight makes them dangerous in arguments or power struggles, because they rarely fight head-on. They prefer subtlety. They win not through aggression, but through insight, by saying just enough to make their point and letting silence do the rest. Their ability to hold back emotionally, even when deeply hurt, unnerves those who expect them to crumble. They can detach with an almost surgical calm, leaving their opponents confused, guilty, or haunted by their own actions. INFJs don't operate according to the surface rules of society, but by their own internal compass, a compass forged through reflection, empathy, and conviction. When something violates that moral order, they don't just disagree, they feel it in their soul. This intensity can make them both inspiring and intimidating. When they take a stand for something they believe in, it's not about ego or recognition. It's about purpose. They'll challenge corruption, hypocrisy, or cruelty even when they stand alone. People often mistake their silence for submission, but in truth, that silence is the calm before they act decisively and with unshakable resolve. Another reason INFJs are dangerous is their ability to detach emotionally once they've made up their mind. Most people see their warmth and assume they're endlessly forgiving, but when an INFJ finally decides to walk away, it's permanent. They don't announce their exit. They simply vanish, erasing emotional ties and reclaiming their peace. They can look at someone they once loved with total neutrality, not out of hate, but out of complete emotional clarity. It's a psychological shift few can understand. Their love runs deep, but once the trust is gone, their heart turns to stone. What makes this especially unnerving is how gracefully they do it. Without revenge, without drama, just a quiet, final goodbye that feels like a door closing forever. INFJs also possess an intensity of thought that can be unsettling. Their minds are constantly connecting patterns, interpreting meaning, and imagining possibilities. They don't see life in fragments, but as a grand web of interconnection. This mental depth gives them wisdom beyond their years, but also isolates them. They understand things most people never notice, which makes their decisions seem mysterious or unpredictable. People often underestimate them because they don't reveal their full thought process. They keep their plans private, working behind the scenes until everything falls into place. When their strategy becomes visible, it's often too late for others to react. They've already outmaneuvered everyone with calm precision. Beneath their serenity, INFJs also possess a powerful shadow. They spend so much time trying to be good, kind, and selfless that they sometimes repress their darker emotions. Anger, resentment, desire for control. But repressing these feelings doesn't make them disappear. It only makes them stronger in the dark. When the shadow finally surfaces, it's not chaotic, but purposeful. The INFJ begins to integrate their darker impulses into their identity, learning to assert themselves, say no, and protect their peace without guilt. This transformation makes them formidable, no longer a people pleaser, but a balanced force who understands both compassion and power. When the INFJ embraces their shadow, they stop being just a healer and become a guardian of their own soul. INFJs can influence others not through force, but through emotional gravity. When they speak, their words carry weight because they're born of sincerity. People listen, not because they shout, but because their truth resonates on a deep, almost spiritual level. This makes them natural leaders and visionaries, capable of awakening conscience in others. But if that same conviction is used against someone who has wronged them, it can dismantle pride, guilt, and pretense in a single, quiet confrontation. Their voice doesn't need volume. It carries the sharpness of truth. They can suffer silently for long periods, enduring emotional storms while maintaining composure. But when they finally reach their limit, their transformation is irreversible. They will rebuild their life from the ground up, shedding people, jobs, and environments that no longer align with their peace. And they do it with an eerie calm that others mistake for indifference. In reality, it's clarity. They've learned that their energy is sacred and their empathy is not a resource for everyone. From that point forward, they operate differently, calmer, wiser, untouchable. What many don't realize is that the INFJ's love and their danger come from the same place: depth. They don't love halfway, forgive halfway, or fight halfway. Everything they do is all or nothing. Their love can heal you. Their absence can break you. Their trust is a gift few earn, but once betrayed, there's no way back. They are gentle until gentleness no longer serves truth. And when that threshold is crossed, the same empathy that once comforted you becomes the clarity that exposes you. The duality of the INFJ isn't a contradiction. It's a balance of extremes. They embody the light and shadow of human nature in rare harmony. Their danger is not in destruction, but in their quiet ability to see through illusion and act with unwavering conviction. They don't seek power, yet they hold it effortlessly, the kind of power that doesn't demand obedience but commands respect. To understand an INFJ is to understand that their niceness is not fragility, it's restraint. And when restraint is no longer deserved, their depth becomes their weapon. The INFJ is the kind soul who loves deeply, forgives easily, and walks away silently. They are proof that true strength often hides behind gentleness, and true danger often wears the face of calm. Those who encounter both sides of an INFJ never forget it, because once you've been seen by them, truly seen, you can never unsee yourself through their eyes again.